Welcome back. We are going to be looking at the 4 levels of value. When you understand this one concept, this framework that I'm about to teach you, it is life-changing. Before I knew this, I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I was just going from task to task at work, and I was trying to figure out, how do I balance my time? There's so many different opportunities. How do I know what to prioritize, to say no to do more of? And I'm just like, oh man, how do I do this? And the team is just asking for a lot of stuff, and I'm seeing there's a bottleneck in our organization, and it's me. So if you want to remove the bottleneck, remove the overwhelm, remove the lid, then understanding these 4 levels of value will be extremely valuable to you. And this is how it goes. These 4 levels of value, it's based on this premise that basically the amount of money that you make in life is determined by the value that you contribute to the marketplace. This is so essential for us to understand if we want to be self-funded missionaries, if we want to turn our calling into a career, if we want to do more of what we're passionate about and what we love. Then if you don't make the money, then you can't sustain the message. And then it's going to be harder for you to be involved actively in the Lord's service if there's not finances that helps to support or flow to support the work that you're doing. And God provides for his people. But I will tell you that some of the ways that God provides is through the value that you contribute to others. When you understand this, whether you're in the nonprofit world or if you're in the for-profit world, whatever your organizational structure, understanding the 4 levels of value is going to be tremendously powerful. A lot of times we think that we are paid based on salary, based on like we get an amount of dollars for our time, that we're trading time for money, but you're not trading time for money. You're never trading for time for money. If you got paid based on your time, then that means you can sit on the couch, and as the time goes by, you'd be getting paid. That dollar amount is really just a receipt. It's a transaction. It's a paper representing the amount of value that you contributed to the organization, to the marketplace. So if you want to earn more, or if you want to earn what is needed to support your love, your passion, your calling, then you have to understand how to develop more valuable skills, how to level up the value that you contribute, or the perceived value into the marketplace. These are what's going to help you to get from where you are to where you want to be in this area of impact and income. So in order to understand that, let me explain a little bit more about what is value, because value isn't necessarily a terminology that a lot of us understand off the bat. I know I didn't, but it helped me to realize that value is another word for blessed. Like if you want to be a blessing, how many of you guys want to be a blessing to others? If you want to make a greater blessing in this world? Yes? Okay, me too. But in order to do that, we have to, that is the same thing as adding value to people's lives. And if you want to make a greater impact, that's another word that if you want to impact the lives of others, if you want to impact other organizations, impact other teams, impact people who are hurting, then making this impact is also another word for adding value to people's lives, or the difference, making a difference, or being different, or being significant, or making a difference in the lives of others. That's the value that you contribute to an organization, to the marketplace, to an individual. So our goal is, we want to understand, how can we add more value to people's lives? Because that's really what we want to do, is make an impact, make a difference, and change lives. Everybody loves helping people. So in order to do that, there's 4 levels of value. At the lowest level of value, the lowest level, it is under implementation. Implementation is what you do for, these are the people who do the work. These are those who have the skill, who do the technical work, that get the things in place, and they implement. This is the resource that they use is their muscles. It's very limited. These are the workers. These are people who are just asking the question, how much can I do myself? How can I do more? And it's focusing on what they have to do, is looking at their own thing, not the things of others. This is implementation, the lowest level of value, because even though the thing that you're doing may be helping others, this is there's going to be a limit to your income and your ability, your salary, or your impact in this lowest level. The second level of value is unification. Unification is just another name for being able to unify the implementers. These are the people who keep track of those who are implementing or doing the work so that they're able to have everything that they need to make sure that they could do their technical work. And so their one resource is management. Their resources is managing people who do the work. And there's going to be a limit, a cap of what you can earn and the impact that you can make in the world if you're operating on the level of unification, the second level of value. The third level of value is communication. This is one of the highest paying jobs in the world. One of the most highest paying of impact that you can have with people is communicating. That resource that communicators use is their mouth. That is the ability to craft words that change people's beliefs, that drive their actions and transforms their lives and all their decisions, and adds more value through sharing experiences and concepts and frameworks that transform people's lives. Communication could be like casting vision for your team and understanding how people can rally together to know where they're going and why they're going there, and these things. That is communication. Sales, persuasion, influence, teaching. These are different examples of communications. This is a very high income skill to develop, and understanding how to share with people things, products or services that can make a difference in the lives of others. This is communication. Your knowledge is useless. It's of no value unless you can communicate it to others. And when I realized that, I was like, whoa, I need to figure this out. I'm a communicator now, but I wasn't always like that. I played a lot of video games when I was growing up, and I communicated so little that I even developed a speech impediment over one summer when I was just on the computer for way too long, not talking to my family, didn't have friends in person that I would hang out with, and so my communication skills were just eroding away. And the first time that I ever gave a speech, it was so embarrassing. It wasn't that great. So these are skills that you can develop. If I could do it, anyone can do it. I promise you. This is like, how many of us have a mouth? It's like, yes. So all of us have a mouth, and it's just a matter of learning how to craft and culture your voice and develop your talent, your gift of communication. We all have a talent, whether it's 1 or 5 or 10. You're all talented communicators right now. It's a matter of cultivating that talent. And what are you going to do with the mouth that you have? This is a real question. So communication is one of the highest levels of value, and the income is very high. Potential right there as well. And the impact and the difference you make in people's lives. Actually, Warren Buffett, he was one of the wealthiest people on the planet. He's like $70 billion, something or other. And he mentions that he's often asked, what is the number one thing that you've done that has helped you in life to grow, or that you contribute to your success? And he's like, when I was younger, I took a Dale Carnegie public speaking course. And that learning how to communicate has been the fundamental skill that he says that has helped him the most early on in his experience. Communication is something you can invest in that will never run out of a return on investment of your time, and your effort and your love and your care and your trials and being diligent there. The fourth level of value, this is the highest level of value, and this is the one that I knew the least amount of at first, but this is imagination. This is the level 4. The 2 resources people have at this resource is they have all of these other ones. They only have 1 resource that they can use, but here they have 2 resources, and that is number 1, their minds, and number 2, money. Wealthy people, poor people work for money, but wealthy people let their money work for them. So some different examples of imagination is like there are people who look at stocks or investing or different examples of imagination, like one that's really good is creating frameworks. Being able to take concepts and put them in, when you can see a problem, you know the result people want, and you create the steps to get from where people are to where they want to be, and you close that gap, then that is using the imagination. You're giving them a framework, like what I'm teaching right here, to be able to develop this to contribute to other people. This is something that could transform people's lives and make a difference. These are the people who make a much greater impact and reach more people, is they encapsulate their trainings into a framework. So another thing, that imagination, another example would be like creating a compelling vision, crafting a vision of the future, not what is, but what could be, and giving people hope. As leaders, we are hope dealers. We help people to see that the world can be a better place, and we show them the problems that we're solving and why we're doing what we're doing. And when you spend time to imagine what your team is going to look like, why your team exists, and in this training, in this course, I'm going to be teaching you high-level skills that will serve you for the rest of your life. And we're going to be seeing how you can use your imagination with your team and exercise the sanctified imagination based on the Word of God to see what could be, and giving people opportunities. It all starts here. Once the person uses their imagination, they craft a compelling vision, then this gives communicators a vision to now cast and to tell and to contribute to other people. Without that first step, the communicators wouldn't have a message to communicate to. And then as they're communicating, it rallies up people's interests, and they want to participate, they want to help. And then it allows the managers, those who are working on unification, unifying, that they're like, I want to participate, I want to help. And then through the vision too, it allows doers and implementers and people who are doing the work to come forth, and then they start using their time and their talents and their efforts and their resources to contribute to this greater good. But in these 4 levels of value, imagination is the highest that we can do. Now, I want to clarify, this doesn't mean that the only thing you should be doing is sitting in a dark room by yourself, imagining and thinking about what things could be done. That's not at all what's going to get you from where you want to go. And truth be told, developing these different skills will be extremely essential to our journey. But recognizing that this is a framework to help you to kind of see where you should prioritize your time, where you should prioritize your strength. And it helped, like for me, what I saw is there was a bottleneck in the organization of the Army of Youth, where there was more people that were waiting for me, and they were looking for me for decisions, for information, for just help them to go to the next place. I'm like, there's too many people, and there's a limit to, like, there's not enough me to go around, and I'm always behind. I'm like, what do I do? And then I learned this framework, and I was like, oh, communication. I've been over here spending a lot of my time implementing and doing different things, but what I need to be doing is more communication. If I focus my time and attention communicating to others, then people would be able to move forward, because a confused mind is a paralyzed mind. Remember that with your team. If they're unclear on what they're supposed to be doing, they won't be working. A confused mind is a paralyzed mind. So I started prioritizing my time, shifting my focus, and I started doing way more communication. And since doing that, things have grown. But we started this communication challenge in our ministry, and people, and now we have this course on communication. It's a challenge that people go through who are struggling with communication. And I was just thinking, how can we develop more communicators in the ministry and teach other people how to develop this talent and skill? And I was like, oh, what if I just put together a training of everything that has helped me to develop my communication skills and the things that have made the greatest impact on my life, and I put them in the order I learned them, or the order I wish I learned them, had I, knowing what I know now, had I started over. So we put together that communication challenge, and we gave it to people so that they can develop, and it transformed the way our ministry was able to grow. We doubled our size in 1 month, and people started getting more active, more involved, and they were doing things. And since then, we've tripled or maybe quadrupled what we've done. But communication is so key. And while I was in search of that, I was thinking, what can we do to develop more communicators? And then it dawned on me that what we need is not just communicators, we need leaders. And if we can develop leaders, then leaders will communicate. And then I started to study on how can we develop leaders, and it transformed so much for all of us. But understanding that the frameworks are some of the things that are going to be helping you to bridge the gap between where you are to where you want to be so much faster. This is like the closest thing to a shortcut that could exist. And that's why we have this. So what I would encourage you to do when you're trying to figure out what to prioritize, what should you be spending your time doing, consider which level of value are you operating on. And if you spend majority of your time in implementation mode, and then you're going to be extremely limited and overwhelmed on what you're doing. But the more that you ascend and you start expanding and studying and searching and learning more about these different skills and committing to them, then you will grow. You'll have a greater impact. You'll add more value to the lives of others. Now, another thing I want to clarify is I'm not saying that people who do work and who are implementing are less valuable or of no value, or that they are not making a difference. But what I am saying is that in the marketplace, where the money flows is where the perceived value is. I'm not saying this is the way that God values it or the way I value it. This is the way that the marketplace values these things. And so if you want to be more valuable to or have greater perceived value for making a difference in the lives of organizations or people or teams or families, then the more that you ascend your time or your skills up this value ladder, or these levels of value, then you'll be able to make a greater difference and a greater impact in the lives of other people. Each of these are of great value and great dignity on every step, but it just helps you to see how you can prioritize what should you be spending your time on, and how. Like, I realized that some of these are better, and I realized I didn't really know what that meant, so I had to study more, and I had to look more and understand what is going on with this imagination and studying in the scriptures. I looked at every verse that said the word imagination throughout the scriptures, and began to get a better understanding of the faculty of imagination and how to use this for making a greater difference in the lives of other people. And when we do this, then what we're doing is we're increasing our value that we're contributing to the organization. We are becoming more valuable as an individual, and as we learn more valuable skills, we have more that we are able to offer. And there is a verse that is so eye-opening. It says Proverbs chapter 18, verse 16, and it says, "A man's gift maketh room for him, and bringeth him before great men." So that was Proverbs 18:16. A man's gift maketh room for him. So if you want to have greater room, greater opportunities in life and service with your team, then you have to increase your skills and develop these things. And depending on what you have to offer, the value you can contribute, if you make yourself more valuable and you invest in more valuable skills, then you will always be needed and wanted. You will always have room. No matter where you go in the world, you will be high demand because you have chosen to commit to this journey of developing more valuable skills. And so you have more to contribute. And in this process, we have to move from implementation and start learning how we can develop teams, imagine what the team could do, communicate the vision, and unify the people who are working together on the team. So again, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If we want a different result, we're going to have to do something different. We're going to have to be something different. And remember that teamwork divides the effort and multiplies the success. If you want to multiply your success, then you're going to have to build a team.